Welcome to this episode of Abide in Me, How Jesus Models Secure Attachment with God. This series is a survey of the Gospel of Mark, looking for how Jesus models what is now called secure attachment, which is the physiological, emotional, cognitive, and spiritual experience of what is often called salvation or regeneration or being conjoined with God or enlightenment, individuation, even becoming spiritual. Through the series, we will discover the benefits of becoming securely attached with God, which is the transformation of one's life into one of joy and satisfaction. As we continue in Mark chapter 3, Jesus gets out of town. It's too intense, perhaps, and he goes out in the country, goes to the shore of Galilee nearby, but people are crowding around him still. The idea is that we're supposed to imagine thousands of people trying to get to him, and he's healing people. Sick people are pushing forward to touch him. The image of a crowd where people could get crushed is very frightening because it happens, right? People die in such crushes. People who are psychotic, who are possessed, are being tortured physically and cry out in pain as they convulse. And the evil spirits, Mark reports, cry out, "You are the Son of God." But Jesus sternly commands them not to reveal who he was. Our premise that Jesus is modeling a secure attachment style appears to be challenged by his repeated escapes and detaching from the crowd, in this case going a small distance from the shore in a boat. I suggest that he is modeling the grace we need to have with ourselves when, upon feeling the pressure to change, when being confronted by a securely attached person, which is what I'm thinking following Jesus entails, that we at first resist and complain. There will be, in that moment, a crowd of negative thoughts pressing upon us. Feelings of fear, of change arise as our brain is alerted to something unknown and possibly dangerous. More inwardly, in our spirit, a fear of the loss of self arises because of the challenge of this new style of love and acceptance that Jesus is modeling. Our usual way of being has made sense for many years. We have our defense mechanisms, our stories, our agendas, our interpretations. And in that state, we don't see anything as being wrong. So when this powerful presence and an offer of a new way of connection and attachment confronts us, is presented to us, it reveals to us the evil or the harm of our materialistic, selfish, fearful way of being that actually has infected what would have been a healthy attachment with ourselves, with others, and with God. The first sense of this is feeling resistance to the love and wisdom that is doing the miracles in our and other people's lives. Perhaps you remember your first defiance of your parents, right? Even in small ways. I've been told what to do, but I'm going to do it my own way, even if it's less efficient than the way your mother taught you. That was a necessary phase in the development of your sense of self. But now, as perhaps in your adult life, you're wondering if this sense of self is harmful to your relationships with your friends and your loved ones. You're getting a message, more or less subtly, that you're being selfish or worldly or arrogant, stuck up. Jesus is modeling a mindfulness that we also learn from Buddhists and other practices. At the moment of discovery of this harmful way of being, which is felt as an emotional or cognitive discomfort, it is key to distance myself from the judgment I'm making about it. And this takes practice. I don't want to avoid or deny the pain or the worry about my relationships or my negative self-assessment, but I want to mindfully observe them. because that frees me up to choose what to do and to say, and not simply continue that mechanical way of being hooked by it and so being reactive and defensive and going back to our same old stories and so forth. The ideas we've cultivated and owned and held on to for our sense of self come from all parts of our mind, our body, and experience, even as the people came from everywhere in and around Palestine to see Jesus, according to Mark. Coming from one direction, we fear we are not good enough when we think of comparing ourselves to others. From another place, muscles hold tense in tension in anticipation of a threat, and so uses up a lot of energy and attention. This is a signal that our brains are producing hormones that will cause inflation and, if chronic, become painful. And yet, in a mindful moment, we can, from some distance away from our present life, remember times when we were taken advantage of and we created attitudes and behaviors to protect ourselves that now are not helpful. Remember staying home alone, right? Or turning off social media, stopping texting, maybe even stopping a relationship with a person. And yet that harmed those relationships. It doesn't feel healthy. It doesn't feel well. And we begin to cry out for healing. Why is this happening to me? What is going on? Because of the size and agitation of the crowd, we're told Jesus had to create a little bit of distance to be seen and heard. He is modeling for us the experience of the mindful process of standing back and noticing the many thoughts and feelings that naturally and automatically arise in our minds. We get a more or less distant and fleeting feeling of the power of love to heal our pain and resolve our fears when we have this distance. Now, we cannot maintain this new realization of the power in our love. We're not ready to name it right away. But if we see and feel it again and again and again, as it were, returning to the experience that Jesus is modeling, our unhealthy thoughts and painful feelings will be reduced. So Jesus is assuring us of the good results of this mindful work. The more we're able to experience him as loving us fully and securely, we gain trust in him, and we can soften our reliance on our own self. We begin to understand the difference between secure attachment and unhealthy dependence on ourself. We begin to see that I can be a strong, competent, capable, sovereign self and be in relationship with other people. It's a complicated thing. I can imagine it's as complicated as an infant learning to walk. We have to do it again and again to understand and feel that secure attachment that Jesus is here modeling. And that is to follow him. That is to give up this arrogant sense of self and see ourselves in the context of a relationship. And that will heal our spirit. And we'll know that because it will reduce or even remove the cognitive and emotional discomfort we feel when we come into relationships with other people. I pray this has supported your transformative life, whatever practice you have in your life. I want to thank Solomon Keel for his music, and I want to invite you to make a contribution to this work if you wish and are able through the PayPal link. And I invite you to continue to listen to the next episode. You be well.